Hi everyone! In this video I would love to share an experience I had while I was meditating with my mother near a beautiful stream. Basically what happened is, in this meditation, I connected with a parallel life of myself. People may think that this is a past life, but what I'm going to tell you really proves that there's something else going on beyond just these being past lives, these experiences that in our current linear time are perceived as past because it is in the past time period. But there's something else going on that is beyond this linear time. I feel like we can really only truly comprehend and conceptualize the theory of this linear time, I think, when we try to bend time. I feel that is when we trip up. So we're like, oh, let's not go into those theories because nobody can really conceptualize or comprehend what these people are talking about time being able to bend and not this linear thing where the past is done and the future is that's not even happening yet. So basically, I'm at a parallel life of myself. And I don't know the exact time, but if I had to pinpoint a time in this linear 3D sort of um, way, I don't know, maybe 16, 1700s. I know it was before the whole Abraham Lincoln, before the whole Civil War was like way before that, but I cannot pinpoint the actual time. But I know it's before because what was happening is the overall feel of I guess, the environment of this parallel life that I was tapping into was I saw myself as a Native American Hopi girl. I was about 16 and I was very like mature looking. I looked like I was like 21 even though I was 16. I was fully developed and very mature looking, very beautiful. I remember my cheekbones made me look like I was 21 because they were so I had the cheeks too that were so like plump, I guess, but very smooth, like very good facial structure. And it was very similar to the Hopi Native American woman that I posted on my Lyra a Star page. If you guys have seen that picture that I actually happened to just come across, just randomly looking at old pictures of Hopi women, and that I basically saw her when I was tapping into this parallel life. And basically, the environment that was kind of circling around me, or I guess the energy of that life I was tapping into, was there was something going on between the Native Americans and I guess the white people, or I guess the Europeans or something. Um, yeah, there was something going on, and basically a lot of there was some sort of mixing going on, okay? Mixing with Native Americans and I guess the white people who were getting married, and a lot of them they were trying. I guess the white people were trying to really help the Hopi Indians to kind of, I don't know, trying to like go with the change, that the Europeans were bringing the Native Americans, or saying, we're bringing you this change, we're bringing you, better way of life, you need to follow it, sort of thing. They were kind of doing that to the Hopi Indians. So there were families that were allowing this, their daughters. Mainly, it was their daughters than their sons. They were more wanting to hold on to their sons, I feel, than their daughters, because I feel like there was some families that were allowing their daughters to marry these white men and to live in the white man's sort of their way of life that was really different. Okay, even really different religion and just culture and just totally different, like I don't know what to say, perspective on life. Okay. The white one was more about expansion and glory, while the Hopi people were very much about, simplicity. So there was sort of this difference, this big difference. So basically, when I was tapping into this parallel life, I remember my mother. I saw my mother. She was just beautiful, very young looking, fresh, young. I feel like she was just, in my eyes, she was like one of the most beautiful Native American women there. And she had a lot of children. I remember she had a lot of sons. There was a lot of sons, but I was the oldest. And we were only like 10 years apart. So she had me really young, and might even been less than that. I don't know. She just had me very, very young. And I remember that I helped my mother take care of the kids, you know. I remember like just there was just all these little like boys running around, and I was really like helping my mother manage this big family that she had. And basically, what was going on is I met this young man. I saw him on a horse, and he was wearing a uniform that kind of reminded me of the uniform like I seen in I think, I don't know where I've seen this, maybe in a documentary about the Civil War, like the Union sort of blue, and the way that uniform looked, where the coat looked like it was made out of linen. Um, I remember he was on a horse. I remember there was this kind of sword, and he had like a hat that reminded me of like those Union hats that you'd see like in pictures of like the Civil War and stuff like that. So it could have been like down near that time. I'm just not sure. Basically, I was at like the stream, and I was just like really just kind of relaxing. I think I might have been just meditating, and he came by with his horse, and I think his horse was drinking some of the water, and he was on the other side of the stream. And it wasn't that wide. It wasn't a wide. It wasn't deep either. It was like a stream like you could. It would go up if you walked in and maybe go up to like your mid calf or something like that. And basically we kind of connected eyes, and I could tell he was very intrigued by me. I think I just could see in his eyes that he saw me as a very beautiful woman. And again, I was unmarried, and actually it was kind of I feel like I was getting some sort of pressure to get married because of the fact that I was 16, and all my other friends that were girls were already married to other like warrior Native Americans, but I for some reason I just wasn't really connecting with any of the men, like the warrior men in the tribe. And the reason why is because of the fact I feel in that lifetime I was destined to marry this gentleman in the suit, the soldier, the soldier, I guess, the white man soldier. And I remember he had a little what do you call it, like a mustache, total little mustache, and he had these nice blue eyes, and his hair was like dirty brown, but not dirty, dirty blonde, but a little darker, like a little darker, like a brown color. And I remember I was just looking at him. I was just staring at him because I was almost like, I don't know. It's almost like I never seen like a white man before, even though I've seen them all the time. Because I feel like the soldiers kind of are constantly like observing us, like our little village. I don't know, maybe to see if we're gonna attack them or something like that. But we were always very peaceful. But they always kind of like had their eye on us for some reason. Um, so I just, I've seen the white men before, and it just for some reason he was like by himself, and I remember I've never really seen them by themselves. I've always seen them in these like little these little groups, together, like maybe three or four. There was never less than two, that's for sure. And we connected, and I remember I was just like staring at him. I was just staring at him because I just felt this connection that I've never felt. And I remember in our village, there's a culture about a connection. That Native Americans, they actually married for the connection. They married, for, um, like the warriors. A lot of the women looked for like a true warrior spirit. That was a very attractive quality for a woman to marry this warrior. A strong, mentally, emotionally, physically Native American man. Um, and I do remember my father was kind of having his eye on somebody that he wanted me to, I guess, marry, and he was a warrior. And my father, I remember he was like a chief. He was very like high up there in the ranks. And because I remember the soldier men talking to my father a lot, because my father was in charge of like the whole village, and our village was pretty big. It wasn't like 2 dozen people. It was like 60 to 70 people. It was large, and there was other like chiefs as well. Okay, because we had good amount of land. We had forest area, but then we had like open grass area, fields. But our land was getting, smaller and smaller and smaller as we kept making compromises and compromises with, I guess, the white men. We made a lot of compromises. Again, kind of with like our land was like this, and it was just getting smaller and smaller and smaller because we just didn't know what to do, because we didn't understand their way of life. We knew that they wanted our land, but we didn't really know why. We just knew that they like to expand, I guess, but we didn't really know that the whole concept of glory. We knew a warrior, like being a warrior, being a chief is like, it's like you are strong, you are wise, but it doesn't make you better. It just makes you've mastered something. Okay? So we didn't understand that. We didn't understand that, but we were just making this compromise to make the peace, just to make peace, because we were all constantly about making peace, and we thought they were too, about making peace. Okay? So I just remember there's all these conversations going on with my father and the white men, especially like I remember my father talking a lot, even when I was a young girl, with like this general that I feel like my father was. They were like in contact with each other like back and forth for years, and they actually I feel like him and the general. The general was very like strict and like seemed like he kind of like a stick up his butt type of thing, like kind of like a motionless kind of robot. But the general really had a connection with my father for some reason. Even though he was like very robotic about it, he had a deep connection. I feel like a life prior to that, they were like brothers, because there was this brotherly love. The general honestly like wanted to kind of protect. Even though the general had somebody even higher up than him that was watching over him, he wanted to protect our land and our people. So I feel like he stayed as, I guess, watchers of our Native American sort of village, because he indirectly wanted to protect us from the higher up generals or whatnot, because they were kind of just going through land and just taking land from the Native Americans and just being like, get out. But he was not doing that. He was, having us kind of get smaller, like, give us more of your acres, but it was never like just bulldozing us over and be like, you figure out die or just move on, find elsewhere to go. But I remember our land was getting pushed more of like, they were taking more of the east side and we were getting pushed more like the west. I remember that was what my father told me in that particular, that life. So I remember this man. He was a young man, and he was sort of like an up and coming person. I think he didn't have so much ambitions about to like move up through the ranks, because I feel like he wanted to eventually like retire at a young age. He was not interested in continue on like most of the people. They just want to get to the top ranking and stuff. He didn't really want to do that. He wanted to kind of have a farm, and he wanted to have horses, and he was doing it because of the fact that if he like did this, like was a part of, I guess, this, I don't know, the military, they were going to give him some land when he retired or something like that, which I feel like he was going to soon retire because of something that happened. I think he was no longer able to really be a part of I guess, the military because of like a physical thing. I feel like he got in some sort of accident that now there's something like with his leg or something, like maybe like a leg where he is like a limp because of something, and that's why he is no longer could be in the military, like he's retiring early because of that physical damage that happened. So I met him. I feel like it was really close to be like maybe 6 months before he was like officially going to be out of the military and going to have his little farmland where he was going to have like starting out with like 2 horses or something like that. And I feel like this land was somewhere in Virginia. I do feel that. I don't know where the Toby tribe was though. I feel like it was maybe a little bit more south. than the farmland that he settled in. But basically, like back to this whole eye connection we had, we connected eye to eye, and I remember our eyes just wouldn't leave each other's. And then he got off the horse. There was no communication, and he sort of just started walking in the stream towards me, and I was just like frozen. Like I've never had a white man look at me for that long or walk towards me or even show interest in me. Because the white men always kind of like looked down or just wouldn't look at the Native American. Like most of them acted like they didn't care. The general, even though he was a motionless robot, he seemed like he was more interested in the Native Americans people than his the other soldiers. So he walked towards me, and I was alone. I feel like I was cleaning some, like I remember there was like some clothes or something like that. Like I just washed some clothes or something like that, like cloths or something. And I don't know. And then instantly, I don't know what happened because instantly I was taken to. I was sitting with my mother, and she was sort of like braiding my hair in this cool little braid that I don't know how to describe because it's like two braids that are kind of like tied up in this cool hair thing. And I was talking to my mom, and my mom, she didn't really want me to marry him because she didn't really want me to leave, because I would leave the village to go with him to his farm. And I do remember that our people, I did know their language, like I did know English. So, because my father knew it because he was taught by his great grandfather. You know, it was an important thing to know because of the whole fact that the white men are trying to take the land, and it's beneficial to know what the white men are saying. So I remember my mom was like, "Don't go," because she was very cautious of the white men. She was very cautious. She would constantly tell my father that we need to stop like compromising, and she didn't like how they were taking our land. She really didn't like that because she felt like we, like this is our land. She was very, very like this is our land. So seeing her oldest daughter that she loved, like she loved me like the most, because she had me when she was the youngest. I was her first, and also we were like sisters because we basically grew up together because we were so close in age. And to see me going, like I would not see her anymore. I don't think I would see her ever because we would be at a far distance from each other. So I just remember I was just like contemplating, should I stay? Should I not go? But the thing is, I felt so much love for him. Like I just we only knew each other for maybe like 3 weeks, and we would sneak out to meet each other in the forest, and we just talk for like ever about just I don't know, it was not so much like talking, it was like soul talking, because there was still this sort of language barrier, but it was just like this soul talking. Kind of reminded me like Pocahontas and like John Smith sort of thing. Um, and I feel like that's the reason why I was connecting with any of the warrior Indians, because I was destined to be with that white soldier. So I remember I was having this conversation, and she was preparing me for the marriage, and I feel like the head thing that she was doing, the hair thing, it was what you do for women that are, I think it's the day before the marriage. It's like a tradition, and like I remember there's all those girls around me, and they're like putting flowers in my hair, and there's like flowers everywhere, and they're like bathing me, and like mud looking stuff, and it was just really cool. It was like all women, like all of the village women were just like with me, like bathing me, feeding me like grapes, and doing my hair, and like mud baths and all this stuff. And all the women, it's just I felt so like it was such a celebration. We all loved each other so much, and they were just so happy for me, even though they were like, she's leaving forever. But my mom, she was kind of secretly didn't want me to go do it. So I remember I was just thinking, maybe I shouldn't. Remember that thought came, and then this is what happened. This is the good stuff about the story. Okay, the Rosa meditating, okay, meditating near the stream. What I did was I went. Okay, let's say her name's Ella. Hopi Ella. That is me. Okay, but in that life. Okay, Hopi Ella. So Rosa, this incarnation, 2016, meditating. I went, meaning my consciousness somehow. I went to see Ella. I guess I was presented to her as a spirit guide. And, they believed in spirit guides and they were very connected to the spirit guides. They would talk to them frequently. And I went to Ella. And Ella thinks that I'm a spirit guide. Ella thinks that Rosa is from the future and that she is a spirit guide coming to give her some wisdom. And what I told Ella is, Ella, marry him. You have a very strong connection with him. He's your destiny. And then I guess I came back to my body. That consciousness came back into me, this physical vessel, and then I saw, like watching a movie, I saw Ella. She's like, she married him, and she lived in the farm, and I remember she raised horses, and they were like I remember they were like raising horses, because I remember I was seeing Ella help a horse give birth. Okay, so I feel like they're definitely like raising horses. That's what she spent her days doing with this man, and she had a deep connection with them and him, and she lived a much, I feel like, a happier life. Even though she loved her tribe very much, it's just she felt like that didn't necessarily where she belonged anymore. Because she belonged in this sort of life with this her husband, the white man, and I remember he helped her to become like a painter. I remember Ella became a painter, a landscape painter, and I feel like she did become successful because her paintings were sold in New York. I remember her husband, he took her paintings to, like, I guess, what do you call, somebody who buys paintings and then sells them for like buku bucks, and her paintings were like sold, and she was a very famous like Native American painter, okay, and her work really like was in New York and those little upper East North America states. I mean, she was very successful, and that was her life purpose. So as you can see where I'm going with this story, it shows me that, whoa, that was like a mind-blowing experience, because I was like, whoa, I went to Ella, but Ella's myself. But I went to her as like a spirit guide. She thought I was a spirit guide. And I somehow I got her more on the path, meaning I gave her that validation, that reassurance to go do that. Because Ella was actually on the verge of not marrying him. So I altered sort of, I made it clear to her that this is her path, because Ella was on the verge of doing, like I said, her free will to just continue to be in the village and just to marry a warrior Native American man, and have babies and all that, and just spend her days feeling like there's something else. I don't belong, like having that gut feeling of this isn't where I belong. So I helped her. Like, literally, I really helped Ella in that life. That's actually me, to go down the path of her true destiny. It's really interesting, because it just shows me how, like, I'm wondering if I'm a spirit guide to the other versions of myself that are in these incarnations. And I'm like, I just find that interesting, because when I connect with spirit guides all the time, and I actually met my future self. I was literally in the kitchen, I was just like, I don't know, opening the fridge or something, and all of a sudden I saw this red-headed woman with her hair was kind of short like this. And she looked older, like in her like 30s, maybe close to 40. And I was just like, that's me. Oh my god, she looks so much older. And I saw this beach. It looked like the coast of maybe the Hamptons in the U.S. and bright red hair. And I remember just she had these kids, beautiful kids. I feel like there was like three boys, There might have been like a girl. I don't know. I don't know. I just saw that, and I saw we had this Hampton house, me and my husband, this Hampton house right near the beach. And it could have been like a beach house or something like that. And I just remember these windows, these nice windows that just all like you could just be in the living room, in the kitchen. You could be even like in another room. You could just totally see like the whole entire like the beach and this shore. And I remember she was talking to me. She told me this is what she told me. She told me to not make books. She told me to make scripts. You know, because I'm interested in film and things of that nature and writing books. And I was like, why? She was like, because books takes too long, scripts can faster. I was like, oh. And then I was like, I saw her and like she was like on some set or something like that, and she looked like a director, and people like going to her and like asking like questions. Okay, what do I do? And she's like, do that. And another person, what do I do? Do that. It's like she was like directing like all of these people, and I was just sitting there like, oh my god, that looks so overwhelming for me, like 21-year-old Rosa me. I was like, oh my god, but she was just like doing it like that. She was like, you need to do that. I want you to do that. I want you to do that. You need to do that. And then she was just on the ball with everything. And she was like filming some sort of movie or something like that. And she was like behind the camera, sitting on a chair and like this big camera, big, expensive $1 million looking camera. And I was just like, whoa. And then that was just my future self giving me a message to kind of help guide me, direct me towards that future and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to make this little video and to share with you guys my experiences in meditation. And I do believe the world is really changing. As you guys may know, there is this movie coming out in November 2016, which is called Doctor Strange, and it's one of those we call Marvel. Marvel is basically, like a superhero hero movie, and this is a superhero movie of like the mind, and it's about like dimensions and the power of the mind. And I'm just like, oh my god, the world is changing. When I saw that, I was like, oh my god, this is like evidence, like that people are waking up and they're stepping into their power. And I was like, yay, yay, finally. Okay, well, bye everyone. Hope you liked my story. Hope it was detailed enough. I do love storytelling. I've done that in many of my past lives or parallel lives. I've actually am a storyteller in somewhat way in all of my parallel lives. Either a writer, a speaker, a singer, a dancer, a painter, a photographer, in an orchestra, something like that. So bye everyone.